Have you guys ever wanted to create content without the hassle of constantly having to set up your lights, your microphones, and your cameras? I mean, you already have enough on your plate, so adding content creator to your list of responsibilities can be a headache. But what if it didn't have to be? What if you could produce high quality videos without constantly wrestling with your setup? Well, that's exactly why I built this streamlined studio space. In this studio tour, I'm going to show you how I've refined my production process, so all I have to do is flip on a few switches, hit record, and start creating. If that sounds good to you, stick around because I'll be covering all of the details from furniture to lighting, cameras, microphones, and more. Plus, if you're curious about any of the gear that I mentioned, I have links to everything in the description below. So let's dive in. My main workstation is a FlexiSpot EN1, which is a stand-sit desk, complete with wheels on the bottom so I can easily shift it around whenever I need a different shooting angle. The adjustable height is great. Typically when I have it in the stand position, it's when I'm working, and when I'm doing my videos, I'm typically in the sit position and I've moved it down. The next piece of furniture I want to talk about is my podcast table. You guys can see that typically right here behind me. It's a solid wood tabletop. I found it on Amazon. It was made by a company called Décor. Then I went ahead and I bought the legs separately. I also found these on Amazon. They are X-shaped metal legs, and I attached it together and I thought it looked awesome. So again, they didn't come together, but I made them look pretty good together. And then I went ahead and I added wheels to the bottom of the table as well, because that's gonna make everything super modular. So if I wanted to rearrange things for a new shoot or bring in guests, I can just roll the table aside in seconds. And yes, even my chairs have wheels on them. They're inexpensive, they're lightweight, and they're easy to move out of the way when I need extra room. Again, these black mesh chairs are nothing fancy, but they get the job done and without breaking the bank. Next up, we're gonna talk about my cameras. My main camera, the one that you're looking at right now, is the Sony ZV-E1. It's a workhorse for content creation. I love how portable it is. It's really, really small and light. It offers great autofocus and image quality as well. I also keep a Sony a7 IV, which is my second angle right here for my overhead unboxing shots or second angle, or you know, and also it has 33 megapixels. So I typically will use my Sony a7 IV when I want to take photos for thumbnails or for my business or whatever. Now for my podcast, I usually use 3 cameras. So I'll put the Sony ZV-E1 typically on my guest, and then I'll use my Sony a7 IV and I'll put that on me. And then I use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I set that on this desk and I just wheel the desk over there, kind of so it's facing this table. Again, everything's on wheels, so it's all super easy to move around, and that's how I get my wide angle shots. Now the tripods that I use for my 2 Sony cameras are by Geekoto. I found those on Amazon as well. They're super affordable, but typically I will use the Manfrotto RC2 quick release plates to mount both Sony cameras to the tripods, and I actually use those RC2 quick release plates on every tripod I own. So whether they're, you know, small portable tripods or gimbals or whatever, I have those Manfrotto RC2 quick release plates, or at least the base of those plates, on every tripod and every gimbal I own. That way I can easily clip on these Sony cameras, and again, it removes friction and just makes it so I can easily create content without having to sit and screw cameras onto the tripods every single time I'm going to use them. And it just, again, this whole thing is about convenience, and it's about taking the friction out of creating content so that we're able to just set up and create content faster. Also, I'll note that for both cameras, but I typically don't use a cage on my Sony ZV-E1, but for my Sony a7 IV, I have a cage on it, and then I put one of those Manfrotto quick release plates on the side of the camera as well, so that way I can switch back and forth really quickly between horizontal and portrait, depending on whether or not I want to shoot like an Instagram reel or something like that. It's just so much easier for me to switch the camera back and forth. Even on my gimbal, I can do it. Okay, so lighting is a game changer when it comes to professional looking video, so I've made it both high quality and hassle-free. My main light is the amzn 100X. It's clamped to my desk using a Neewer extendable mount. This clamps right here on the side of my desk, and since it's bicolor, I can easily shift from warm to cool tones. I usually do leave it on the cool tone. I like the daylight for my key light, but I did buy the 100X, which switches from cool to warm, just so I could have more flexibility depending on what I want to use this light for. Now you could get away with using the amzn 100D. It stays daylight, it doesn't shift from warm to cold, but I like having that little bit of flexibility, and it doesn't cost much more to get the 100X. I also use a small aperture MC as my fill light on this side that's also clamped to my desk using that same Neewer extendable desk clamp. The Aperture MC is full RGB, giving me endless color options for balancing or adding creative accents. Overhead, I've got the amzn F22X. This is also bicolor. That one I have right over the podcast table, but then behind me I have the amzn F22C, which is a full RGB. These are light mats, and so they're very light, and I feel very comfortable with them being suspended above my head. The wire actually goes down the light stand, which is a Varipole that I have stretched from wall to wall, and that's how I hold my lights. It's also what I use for my overhead shots. If I want to suspend my Sony a7 IV above me, I have these super clamps that go on the Varipole, and then I can have the camera face down right above my desk. But the wire actually goes down the Varipole, and then I have it go down the wall, and then the actual controllers for the lights are on the floor over there. So the heavy part of the light is actually on the floor over there, but the lights themselves are suspended above my head. Keeping these lights suspended above me, it frees up a bunch of floor space, because I no longer need to have C-stands or light stands on the floor. Again, I want everything to be modular, and I want everything to be kind of open so I can move things around when need be. For a bit of extra ambiance, I set up an amzn PT4C. It's a tube light. You can't even see it right now. It's kind of like out of frame. I'm actually gonna go get it right now. Right there behind me, and it's a full RGB light. It can easily dial in any color I need. I can make it match with the other lights or whatever. And I've even tucked an Aperture B7C light bulb on an actual lamp in the corner behind my podcast desk. And the reason why I did that is so it can add a subtle glow in the corner of the room. Whenever I'm in that chair against the wall, I always feel like it's a little bit too dark, because I do also have, and I should mention this, I have some blackout curtains over here, and I have those so that I can control the light. If I want to film during the day and I want to make sure that I have full control over the light, I can black out the room. Or if I want to put off a different vibe and more of like a light and airy vibe, I can leave those blinds open, I can leave the curtains open, but when they're closed it gets a little bit dark, so I like to have that BC7 light bulb over there, so it just adds a little bit of a glow, a little bit of an ambiance while I'm sitting over in that chair in the corner. So all of these lights are either amzn or Aperture, which is the same company. Amzn is kind of like the budget brand for Aperture, and they're all connected to the Sidus Link app, so I can control the brightness levels and the color right from my phone. Altogether, it means that the moment I hit record, everything is perfectly lit, and it takes only a second to tweak things if I want a slightly different look. The thing I love about it is I can toggle on and off each individual light, but also I can have the brightness levels and the color set to where all I have to do is just toggle on one toggle and everything will fire up at the same time. Okay, so audio is every bit as important as visuals. So I use a few different mics for different scenarios. My go-to mic is the Rode NTG shotgun mic, which I actually have clamped to my desk, and it's kind of stretched right out of frame right here. This is the one I like to use because I don't have to have anything clipped to me, and there's nothing that you guys can visually see in the video. That way I can talk with my hands and I'm not worried about smacking mics or whatever. But if I do want a mic visible on camera, I can actually switch to the Shure MV7 Plus, which I have right here. It's on a Elgato Wave low profile boom arm. It's got that sleek professional vibe without drawing too much attention, because it's not like one of those mics that come in all the way up here. It's nice and low and sleek. In fact, to you guys, it probably looks like it's on a mic stand. For podcasting, I rely on the Shure SM7Bs, and I have those mounted on these stands that I picked up from Guitar Center. And I will usually run these mics into a Rodecaster Pro 2, which is my preferred audio interface, because there's all these dials and buttons, and you can plug headphones into them, you can plug your mics into them, you can have drops, you can have music. It's just a really cool gadget that I use for my podcast. And some people will record directly into the Rodecaster. However, I like to record into GarageBand. I don't know, it's just always something that I've done. I like having that visual, so I usually will connect the Rodecaster to my MacBook, and then I have this little black table over there that is foldable, and I'll set my MacBook on the table, and then I'll set the Rodecaster on top of the table, and that way I can see what's going on in GarageBand kind of off camera. No one else can see that. And then I'll use the Rodecaster Pro if I want to push a button and have a drop or have music or whatever. It just kind of gives me all the options, and everything is in one place, including my headphones and my mics. They're all feeding into the same thing. No matter which mic I feel like using, I can set it up and tear it down in seconds, and that's going to keep my attention on where it should be, which is the conversation and not the gear. Okay, so I'm gonna take a second to answer some frequently asked questions, okay? So I'm gonna start out with the neon light. People are asking me about the neon light, this thing over here. So where did I get the neon light? I got it off Amazon. You can order these, you can make them say whatever you want. You can get them in whatever color you want. I just went tungsten to make it pretty neutral. And then it comes with a remote. You can turn it off, you can turn it on with the remote. You can change the brightness, and they're not very expensive. I think I paid like, under $200 for this light. What's in the closet right now? It's kind of a mess in the closet. I have like this fantasy that someday I'll put shelving in here and I'll put like another tube light, or I'll put something that, you know, some sort of ambient light in here, and I'll make it look really nice. But right now I do have a spot where I have all my extra gear, my gimbals, my wires, my extra mics, my lenses, so on and so forth. And that is in this little, it's kind of like on this thing that has drawers, and I have a bunch of stuff shoved in the drawers, extra little tripods and stuff like that. But for right now, it's kind of a hot mess. That's a work in progress. What type of lenses do I use on my cameras? Well, I have a bunch of lenses, but my main drivers are the Tamron lenses. So I have the 17-28 and the 28-75 f2.8s. That's typically what I use in this studio, and it covers pretty much all the different ranges that I need. Why did I decide to paint the walls black? Well, I painted the walls black because I wanted it to look a little bit different than my other studios. Downstairs I have an office. That's where I do most of my work, my editing and everything else, but that is a light color. It's actually the same color as this wall. And so I wanted to have this studio be dark, and sometimes I still shoot videos in the other studio, so that way I can mix it up and I can have videos in the dark room and I can have videos in the light room. So some people ask me about cable management, like how's my cable management look? So underneath this flexi spot desk, I have a power bar just basically Velcro to the bottom, and then every single thing that you see that is clamped to my desk is plugged into that bar on the bottom of the desk, and then there's only one cord going from the desk into the wall. So even the desk itself is plugged into the power strip that is Velcro to the bottom of the desk. And so that way, when I move around the table, I only have one cord that I have to worry about. But I will say that when I do plug in the Rodecaster 2, I do plug that into the desk as well. So then I have two cords. I've had people ask me how come I don't use a desk clamp for my cameras. And there's two reasons why. One, I want to be able to move around the cameras when I'm shooting my podcast. And two, I don't want to deal with, like right now my camera's sitting on my desk and there's a little bit of camera shake. I don't want to have to deal with that when I'm making videos. And so I would rather have them separated. So I have them on the tripod, and I also have them on the Varipole above me, rather than having like something that clamps on my desk and goes above for my downward shot. Because I can imagine if I'm unboxing something that my desk will shake, and I don't want it to look like that. Next, I want to address these noise dampening foam panels that I put on the walls. So my original idea was this was going to be one of the walls that I shot against, meaning this is going to be my background because I like the design and how these look. But I will say that these have been a bit of a pain. I don't recommend them to anybody. I might replace them at some point with some wood panels or something like that. They do their job, meaning that they're a good like noise dampening, they're good for audio, but the problem is it's hard to figure out how to get these to adhere to the wall. So originally I tried to use two-sided tape because that's what it said in the instructions. I got them on Amazon, and two-sided tape didn't work. They kept falling off. So then I got some spray adhesive and they kept falling off. And then I ripped them all down and I got some stronger spray adhesive. They actually looked really good, but then over time they started shifting around and moving a little bit, and you know, there's some gaps and things like that, so it kind of bothers me a little bit. I have some new spray adhesive, so I found some better spray adhesive, and now they seem to be sticking, but they've already kind of shifted a little bit, so I'm not super happy with how they look, the final outcome, but I'm gonna leave them here for now. They're doing their job. They are creating like a noise barrier, makes the room sound a little bit better, I should say. They're not as aesthetic as I wanted them to be. And if you guys want to know how the camera is tracking me right now, I don't have a small cameraman sitting on my desk. What I'm using is the Sony ZV-E1, and I have the Ronin RS4 Mini, which has a little tracking device on it, so it tracks me as I move. So that's why you just seen me talking about the wall and all of a sudden the camera like swung over. It's because I was moving my hands, and if you go like this, it stops tracking, and if you do it again, it'll start tracking. So it picked up tracking. But if you want me to make a separate video about this,
let me know and I'd be happy to do that.
So depending on who you are watching this video, you may think that all this gear might seem like a lot, but here's the thing. It's all permanently in place and ready to go. I don't have to fuss with cables or rearrange my lighting every time I hit record. By investing in a dedicated space, I've eliminated the typical barriers that slow down content creation. And if you're a real estate agent, sales professional, or a self-employed business owner, you already wear a ton of hats. Content creator just happens to be another one of them. So why not make that job as seamless as possible? Having everything set up means I can focus on what really matters, delivering my message, engaging my audience, and growing my business, not adjusting gear for 20 minutes before every single shoot. I can't even imagine going back to doing that. All right, guys, so that wraps it up. That's my studio tour. So if you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more tips on content creation and productivity. And remember, if you want to check out any of the gear that I mentioned, all the links are in the description below. If you have questions or suggestions for other gear that I should try, drop a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Now, go out there and create something awesome.